Hello, everybody. It's Mario with Motorcycle Knuckle Busters coming back with you with another great um, interview that we're going to be doing here. A little bit more of this raw and real stuff, talking to folks. One thing we're attempting to do is bring people here that are um, maybe not viewed as the traditional people that you're going to see in Easy Rider or different podcasts and different things going on, but people are part of our culture. Okay, people who bring diversified backgrounds, which just shows that we are a rich mixture of so many different people and personalities and everything else. And so Cody, our producer, he found this next guest, and when he first found her, I was a little skeptical until I started digging in, and I'm absolutely fascinated. I'm really hoping to learn a lot about her, and I'm really hoping that you guys all learn a lot about her as well, and follow her works and everything else that she's got going on, because I'm telling you, this is a pretty unique person that I'm excited to introduce. So, without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to Vera Bloom.
Hello. Thanks for having me, Mario.
Thank you for coming on. So, um, you know, I was, kind of telling folks there, that I'm looking at this person who, to me, is every time I turn the page, I feel like I'm learning more about this great novel being written, and and story that's being done, and I just can't wait to see what continues to happen with you.
Thank
So,
you.
I kind of wanted now. I introduced you as Vera Bloom, but your name is so that's your stage name. Do you want to share your
Yeah, that's fine.
full
That's
name?
that's my stage name. That's the name I gave myself, but my parents gave me the name Anne Marie. Yeah, Anne Marie Galvan. You can find me online.
So what's behind the Vera Bloom? Because there's got to be something there. Because I'm looking at you with your music, you with your art, and everything else. So you're somebody that I know darn well didn't just pick that out of the hat.
This is true. Vera is, from veritas or vera in Italian. It means real or true. And then
Okay.
bloom, it's not that original. It's just kind of like blooming. So after my Sister Antics project that I had going on, that kind of fizzled out, and I was looking for a new stage name, and I started really writing rock music, which is my core. I grew from a singer songwriter to folk to like southern rock when I got down here in Tennessee, and then now it's just like rock, and that's just my electricity. And so there's like, you know what, this is my true blooming into who I want to be and who I feel like I really am. So, you know, as cheesy
Wonderful.
as it might sound, but yeah, that's it. True. It's just my mission statement, I guess.
Well, I've seen some of the art that you produce, and I thought maybe it was tied in a little bit of that as well.
Yeah, I'm a big freak for like flowers and stuff.
Yeah.
They're so pretty, and I'm whatever. I can't escape it. I love them. So they're
Listen,
still.
I mean, I was, my goodness, you're so talented. I mean, I'm listening to your music, and it's like I can listen to your music, and then your art is worthy of being on anybody's wall, and I think it would just add to the aesthetics of any place. So now
Yeah,
you grew up outside of Seattle, so
I
you've
did.
had Seattle growing up as your backdrop.
Mhm.
So tell me a little bit about growing up in Seattle and your family.
Yeah, that's probably why I'm pretty moody and passive aggressive. Just not enough sunshine in my life growing up. But I mean, otherwise, it's like the Pacific Northwest is the most beautiful place in the world when the sun is shining. The water's glistening, and I grew up dirt biking, climbing trees, sailing on the high school sailing team because we're just have water everywhere. So it was a really fun, diverse, um, outside adventure childhood. And And also, I've spent a lot of time in the Northeast, going to school, like probably 8+ years living on the Northeast. And I just can't escape the West Coastness inside of me, as you know, as much as I don't know if I've ever tried, but I've had people out there be like, "You're from the West Coast, aren't you?" And it's just, it's in me. And I guess it comes out in my music too, because a lot of people kind of hear that West Coast vibe, even if I can't, because I'm so biased. You know, I don't have the ear for it.
Well, I kind of hear it in your sound, when you think about the movement with bands like the Ramones and later on the Plim Souls and stuff like that. And it kind of migrated north towards the Seattle area. And then, of course, the bands that came out of the Seattle scene, Soundgarden and bands like that, just legendary bands, that you just, it's hard to get past. And of course, it's going to have some influence because they were so central to what was going on in the world. But I hear that in your music, and I think that's really phenomenal.
Yeah.
So you started out, so you rode dirt bikes as a kid. You mentioned that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you continue to ride. I believe that your mom rides, correct?
She does, yes. She's probably the reason why I ride street bikes.
Okay. And then your sister rides?
She does. She just had a child, a couple years ago, so that's kind of put on hold for a little while. But yeah.
Okay. So, and then you guys, you recently did a 9-day trip. Is that what I understand?
Yes, that was amazing. I would love to do it again. I don't want to say it was a bucket list item. I mean, it definitely was, but I hope to do more of that. It was amazing.
So who all went on that trip?
That was just my mom and me.
That was you and your mom?
Yeah, it was just like a mother-daughter, like we did, it was 5 states, I think, starting from the Olympic National Forest, all the way down. We did like this big loop. It was incredible.
That would have been phenomenal. And I mean, and you talk about, living in the Northwest. I mean, it really is. I love the Northwest, the beauty of it. It's absolutely magnificent. Going Puget Sound. I mean, I was there a couple weeks ago, and I stopped at a little beach, and I found all these purple shells, and I'm like gathering them up, like they were little gold coins.
Yeah.
And, now I'm trying to figure out something to do artistically with them and get them incorporated in something. But I'll figure that out. But they really, they were quite beautiful.
Yeah.
So now, we talk about you, and you're a writer, and that's part of the reason you're on here. But first and foremost, you're a musician. So where did your journey really start in music? I mean, I know I saw something with a previous interview. You talked about playing on the piano and stuff like that, but where did it really start for you?
It definitely did start with the piano, even though that wasn't the right instrument for me in the long run. But yeah, I was classically trained, but I kind of rebelled against having to always, practice these rigid exercises and whatever. And I just started writing my own songs. I've always been like into writing poetry and journaling. And then I guess the forces just kind of came together and I started songwriting. And then, but it wasn't until I left home and went to college in Boston that I started picking up the guitar and just learning it. And that's when songwriting really bloomed for me. And so that was I don't know, a decade later or whatever.
Okay. So what did you, so you went to Berkeley in Boston, correct?
Mm-hmm, correct.
So, you're talking the largest, and that's the largest private, school in the world of music.
They've expanded, yeah. When I went there, they didn't have the thing in Spain, the thing in they've expanded so much, which is cool. But when I went there, it was just Boston, And
Okay, because I know they are in New York, they're in Spain, and everything else. So
yeah.
So that was so you had to really had this drive and this knack for music, and it had to be a heck of a commitment on your parents' part to send you there. And going clear across the country. Oh my God. So how old were you? Were you 18, 19 when you went?
I was actually 17. I was
You were
one
17.
of the I was one of the cusp kids. You know, had a October birthday, so I was either going to be young for my grade or old.
Sure.
So yeah, I was not even an adult. I don't know why they let me go, but you know, they did.
And so now, can you do a New England accent now because you were there for a while? So let's hear you say, "Let's get in the car and go potty."
Let's get in the Congo potty. It's gonna be a wicked cool potty. I don't know.
That's awesome. Now, did you ever do any bellies and beers when you were there?
No,
Did
well, I was so young that I turned 21 my last year, and I like was too stressed out to get a fake ID and whatever.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah,
So yeah, my friends in Boston, they want to have bellies and beers, and I'm like, you know, bellies and beers. I mean, you take the clam and it's basically it's fried, and so it's crunchy on the outside, but it's just like snot on the inside. I just
disgusting.
if you're not from the East Coast and you didn't grow up with it, it's hard to get used to.
Yeah,
So I end up just leaning into the beers, and that usually gets me a little, tipsy. So,
I'll stick
but
with the beer. Yeah, I'm an oyster person, having grown up in the Pacific Northwest.
absolutely, yes, yeah, I can see that. Yeah, everywhere you turn, there's, it's on the menu, and you got to try some oysters. So,
Yeah.
and fresh, So,
Oh,
yeah,
so
yeah, I love Seattle. But like I said, the last time I was there, I didn't see the sun the whole time. And doggone, I was there for a number of days. And I'm sitting on the tarmac and I'm getting ready to fly to Las Vegas. And all of a sudden, the sun comes out. And I'm like, I was ready to cut my wrist just to see some color.
it'll do
And
that too. I know. Well, it's just like misery, and then when the sun comes out, it's like the most magical experience ever, and you're like, I guess everything's fine.
absolutely. And I've been there when the sun's been out. So I want to go back to Berkeley a little. I mean, because I don't know, a lot of people don't realize how prestigious that school really is. I mean, it's turned out some major people. I mean, Quincy Jones went there. One of my favorite artists is Donald Fagen because I just love his funky sound and everything else that he did with Steely Dan and his writings and stuff like that. But and Diana Krall is somebody I like a little bit of jazz sometimes, and she
Mhm.
went there. And Stevie Vai went there. John Mayer went there. So I mean, for you, is there any of those people that's alumni of that school um, that's your favorite?
Uh, I was kind of I mean, I'm very thankful I went there, but I was kind of like a not a very good student. I'll just put it that way. Like I was rebelling against the whole system, even though I learned a lot. I don't know. I'm not good with school, but yeah, I trying to think. Oh, I was gonna say they asked. So we at commencement concerts, they have like famous people come and perform for the graduation ceremony or like the night before. Mine was
Good.
Hall and Oates. Mine was Hall and Oates, and
Oh, cool.
yeah, and uh, gosh, what's her name? Um, shoot, it's escaping me. She's a really famous folk singer. Anyway, I can't remember. But I was gonna say there's a rumor that went around when I was in Berkeley that the school asked Bonnie Raitt to perform at one of them, and she's like such a a badass, and she refused, and she was like, "Music shouldn't be an institution," or whatever. I kind of thought that was funny at the time, but I don't think
Absolutely.
I don't think it's true, but there's the whole. I mean, I majored in songwriting, and a lot of people might make the argument that like you can't really teach that. It's like art, whatever. But anyway, I went off on the wrong tangent, as I do. You'll find out a lot.
That's all right. I love it.
um, I don't know. I never really. I think the people that you mentioned, like Diana Krall, I think any woman that has succeeded from going there is a feat because, like, I don't know what the numbers are now, but when I went, like, maybe a quarter of the school population was female. Like,
Oh,
so it's a very, the whole music industry is very male dominated, but that was just like in the numbers proof that it was a very male dominated industry, like being the school being part of the music industry. And so I think if you succeed as a woman, like having gone there, you're doing great. I also,
absolutely.
yeah, I just listened to an interview with Wendy Melvoin or Mel. I can't remember. I don't know how you spell or pronounce her last name, but she was the guitar player with Prince.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and she has taught, or I don't know if she still teaches at Berkeley, which is pretty impressive. So a lot of their teachers are really amazing people, like Esperanza Spalding, the singer and bass player. If you like jazz, she teaches there. Used to.
Yeah, I know from passing some of the teachers there, when you start looking at their accomplishments, and it could be a name you've never heard of, but then you see, they were a studio musician and they played on 170 different albums, from everything from the Rolling Stones to, Ziggy, Iggy Pop or something like that,
Oh, it's
and
incredible.
really, really neat.
Yeah, and then in retrospect, I would have just eaten it up, and been a much better student. But like I said, I was 17, and like it was my first chance to live on my own. So I took it for granted. I absolutely did. But
Well, I think it's funny you consider yourself rebellious, because I think the artist world, being music, okay, to creating, portraits, paintings, whatever, anybody with an artistic background tends to be a rebel. So I think you're probably not an outlier amongst that group. So
yeah,
I'm sure there is plenty of them.
I definitely don't think so.
So now you kind of alluded a little, and you said that you went there for songwriting. And so one of the things that, I learned about you is that it's the time you spend on your bike that you find an opportunity to write and to think.
Yeah.
So tell me about that process a little, just how does that go?
Yeah, I guess for me, like it wasn't intentional, like I'm gonna get on my bike and write a song. It's just when you're riding, everything kind of just fades away, and you're focused on what's in front of you, around you, but really like your mind is free. So the creative like flow can happen once you're in that state where you're not like bombarded with your phone and what's happening there and the internet and everything. It's just you're very present. And so
Sure.
and I don't know about you, but I'm a big helmet talker and helmet, like singer. So I'm always just, making commentary, or if on long rides, if with groups or whatever, I'll just start singing and making stuff up. And I do a lot of arranging kind of on songs that I've been working on. Like on that trip I took with my mom, we didn't have Bluetooth, whatever they're called. I'm not good with technology. So there was a lot of time, just kind of like hash stuff out and work on songs, and it was great, like, yeah, I definitely do a lot of work while I'm writing.
I've always been fascinated by the art of songwriting. I have a cousin; she's got an album coming out. She did a lot of writing for her old band that she was with and everything. And one time, a number of years ago, I was sitting with Trent Reznor and Nine Inch Nails, and
Cool.
we were out partying at a friend's house. I got invited over, and it was the band, and it was my friend and myself. And well, he used to own a bunch of nightclubs, so we still did. So he had a lot of alcohol around the house. So you can imagine how that was going. But
Yeah.
Trent all of a sudden says, "Oh, give me something to write on." And we literally, I think it was like, took it from a case of Budweiser and opened up the inside, and he was writing out lyrics. And I often wonder whatever became of that. Did he actually turn it into something? And wouldn't I love to have that now?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the thing, is if that's why when you are, when you're riding, you obviously can't like write it down. So I just have to like play it over and over and over and
Sure.
over again. Because if you don't write it down, it's gone forever. That's just like the golden rule. That's why,
Yeah.
like, if you think of something in your sleep and it wakes you up, like, you have to get up. You have to make a choice, like, get up and write it down, or it's gone forever. Because even if you think you'll remember it, you won't.
Yeah, I love how the creative juices can get going with some of the stuff I do with art
Mm-hmm.
and, or with business. And well, Cody, our producer, will tell you that sometimes I'll go out and ride and I'll come back, and that's where I come back with my ideas. So better than the shower, I got to tell you.
Yeah, I would say a lot better.
So tell me about the bike that you ride. I understand you've got a special name for it.
It's not a very creative name, but it is a special name. So yeah, I have a 48. I'm very happy to, it's my newest bike, even though it's a 2015. I'm like, yay. Anyway, so it's a sparkly blue. I don't remember what the like candy, what do they call it? Like the candy finish on Harley
Yeah.
Davidson's. Yeah.
Yep.
So a sparkly blue 48 Sportster. But yeah, I haven't really put a lot of like stretched road on her just because I don't think it would be that comfortable. I definitely have to at least get a better seat. But yeah, just my favorite. Just her name's Sparkles. It's so silly, but yeah, Sparkles.
Sparkles. There
Yeah.
you go, Sparkles. But actually, I think that bike is kind of nice for some of the roads in Tennessee because you can have a big cruiser or something like that, but a nice bike, an 883, something like that, that's light, nimble, and everything else, really is very well suited for the roads around here. Plus, you're not carrying all that weight into the turns and stuff like that. So I think you'll find some good riding.
Yeah.
Get out there, enjoy it. Got to tell you, have you gone down and rode the Blue Ridge at all?
I haven't been on the Blue Ridge. Obviously, I've been on the Trace a lot, but I
Yeah.
haven't made it over there in North Carolina yet. I definitely
Yeah,
want
try to do that, and then I know you take Route 69. It's over west and head north up towards the land between the lakes. That's actually some really really nice riding. You'd probably enjoy that. And
Yeah,
if you haven't been up to the land between the lakes, that's actually a beautiful area to go visit. So
they have camping up there,
yeah,
or probably right.
yeah, they got camping all over it there.
Yeah, I ride with a group of women down here, and last May, was it last May? I don't remember. Time is confusing these last couple of years. But we rode out to, don't know, it's not in this state. It was west anyway. But we like rented a big house, and we it was the Ozarks, but Michigan
Oh,
maybe,
sure.
or the Ozarks that are like not the
Arkansas,
TV.
Missouri. Yeah, so you're in Missouri.
Yeah. And that was awesome. There was like at least 9 of us, and we all rode out there. I had a different Sportster at the time, but this is my third Sportster. But yeah, it was fun.
Wonderful.
Yeah, I hope we
Well,
do something like that again.
well, we're going to have to introduce you to some other women riders because I know a lot of them. A lot of really good friends are women riders. Marilyn Stunt's a good friend of mine. She was actually the first female publisher that was the head of, the first that headed up a major periodical. So
All right.
she rides. Jill Parham, her and her husband started JMP Steichels, a whole
Oh,
host of other people. So this video will get your name out there. So I'm going to reach out to some people. Maybe we can get you out to Sturgis doing some performing out there as well. So that would be a lot of fun.
yeah.
So tell me about, I noticed in some of the stuff, you got a little bit of ink done. And I'm a little curious of what you may have because the artist side of you, the performer side of you, I know that you've got to have some ink that's got some, that has some meaning.
Yes. I had this idea. There's a rock state, 1029 The Buzz. I don't know if they
Yes.
have that. Okay. Anyway, on their local show, they like play my music a lot. And so I had this idea that if my song gets on the radio, I'll get a tattoo for it.
Really?
But
Oh my God, I
yeah,
love it.
it was good, but after like I just couldn't keep up. I was like, this is too expensive. Like I'm not trying to like brag or anything, but I was like, I can't do this. So I only have two of those, but one is Breathe. That was my first single that he played. And then this little guy is for Love Like Knives, which is a song I wrote for my sister, and that one. But I can't keep up.
All right. You don't have one for Mud? Come on.
No, I know I should, because that was probably the most. I'll get a mud. I'll get a mud one. I will. I'll do it. I'm gonna make an appointment right after we have this chat.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. No, we actually we got to do like a GoFundMe or something like that, so we can just keep you in it.
Yeah.
So let's keep Vera. Let's cover Vera in ink. Let's support her by listening to her songs. So now it's lay down the gauntlet. We got to get as many of her songs on the radio as possible, and then we got to be able to pay and get her ink done. So.
I think I messed up on Mud though. Like I'm learning, because that one has like one explicit word in it, but just because of that fact, and I didn't have a radio edit version, they won't play it like before. They have all these rules.
Oh, we got to get that fixed, because that's a good song.
I know. I dropped the ball on that one. I should have thought ahead, but oh well.
Well, I think there's a lot of people that would be able to identify that with that song, and I think by identifying, that's when it becomes kind of personal, and they take ownership of that.
Absolutely.
So the other thing I wanted to ask you about is, you like to change your hair color now, don't you?
Yes, I do. It used to be cutting my hair, but I've since limited what I can do to myself with altering. But yeah, I do. I've decided to keep blonde no matter what. So I have to have like a little bit of blonde in there. That's my new rule, but then I can do whatever.
So what hair color got the most unique reactions from folks?
Excuse me. I think everyone liked the least, including myself, when I did like orange, like red, and that was with henna. And I don't know if you know henna and hair, but it like never comes out. So I had to outgrow that, which was kind of a bummer.
So yeah, that would have taken a while.
Yeah, it did. It was like never again. And I think pink, hot pink was maybe a good one.
Okay.
But lately, I don't know, like if you can tell, I mean, I'm sure you can. People have been like joking with me. They're like, my friends, they're like, so how many Dalmatians did you have to kill again? Because like the whole Cruella de Vil thing.
I love it. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
I love it. See, so we kind of hit on a couple of places. I mean, obviously, you were raised in Seattle. You went to school in Boston, but and you live in Nashville now. But I think you spent some time also in LA and New York City, haven't you?
I did, and actually in Italy.
Oh, we're in Italy.
Near Milan, like.
Okay, we're near Milan, because I used to live near Milan.
Oh, really? Yeah. I was married to an Italian for 5 years. It was great, but it just didn't work out. And so I lived in Monza for a little bit.
Oh yeah, I know where it's at.
Yeah, they have like the Formula One.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So it was on and off. We would go visit the family there and stay, and so I was like Monza and then Reggio Emilia a little bit. They have like family in Reggio Emilia, so kind of.
Mhm. So it's funny because I've lived in New York City. I'm outside of Chicago now. I lived in Italy. I've been different places like that. And the one thing I tend to about myself is I tend to be a little bit of a food snob. Would you say that for yourself?
Yes, I mean especially with pizza. Like I'm so picky. I'm so picky with pizza now. Like it's bad.
So, okay, now you gotta help me out on this one because I've been down here for a while. I'm going to be here a little bit longer. I've spent a lot of time down in the just west of Nashville, from you. Where do you get pizza in Nashville? Because I get jonesing for good pizza.
So there's if you like beer, which sounds like you do, there's a brewery here in East Nashville called Smith and Lens. And
Yes.
yeah, and they didn't always have it, but since the tornado and the rebuilding, they have amazing pizza now that they added to their space. It's wood fire pizza.
Yep.
And I had it the other day for the first time, and I was this is good. This is good pizza.
One.
Um,
That's awesome.
yeah, so
So,
that's probably the only recommendation I can give you on that one.
okay, I'll have to try that out. It's funny living in New York, Italy, and then Chicago. We got deep dish in Chicago. We've got the New York style pizza, and then you lived in Italy and how that is. And I try to explain to people they're not the same. You can't compare them.
Mm-mm.
It's just a deep dish in Chicago, and I prefer quads in Chicago. And if you ever come to the Chicago area, which I hope you do, I believe your drummer's from Chicago.
Oh,
So,
I was just gonna say, yeah, you did do your research. That's amazing. Yeah.
so if you come up, he'll know some places, but you need to get a hold of me, and I'll make sure I'll buy the pizza. How's that work?
Fair. Sounds
For
good.
you? All right. And if it's Milwaukee, then we talked, earlier before we came on about Summerfest and stuff. I got you covered for Milwaukee too, because I know the folks there. We can even get some bike. We can even get you. Well, I've got an extra motorcycle or two. We can even throw you on a bike and go do some riding through the
That is my dream.
countryside.
That's
So,
the thing I can't figure out is writing and performing. They don't work together, yet. Maybe once I can have a bus, I can just ride, when I feel like it.
I think I can get you covered on some of these. So
All
we're,
right.
we're going to make sure the motorcycle world knows a little bit more about you. So don't fret. We're going to get this
Okay.
covered.
I love it.
So, so Italy, I was actually in Vicenza, Italy. So that was between Verona and Venice, but just east of Milan. So right there in that corridor and stuff like that. I love Italy. Can't wait to get back.
Talk about split laning. They're just insane. I used to ride on the back of my ex-husband because I didn't ride my own at the time. And I was just like, we're gonna die. We're gonna die. But everyone is used to that over there.
They're used to it. And I'll tell you, the riding though, Rome is tough. Milan can be tough. Some of the big cities is tough. You got to be very careful. We talked with somebody who was a motorcycle safety rider in one of these, and just getting into the old part of the cities, you got to really watch the roadways and cobblestone. But
yeah,
man, they're so much more respectful of riders there. They pay attention. It's very different than the U.S.
It is very different. Yeah, there's no angst about it. It's and well, I think it's the whole scooter culture.
Yes.
Kids grow up, learn to ride the scooter first. They can ride a scooter at 14 or whatever, and
yep.
So I think, yeah, very much.
Plus, it's a lot more costly to get a license, and it's easy to lose it if you don't behave well. So people are a lot more mindful of things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then New York City. So tell me about your time in New York, because New York, I lived for 5 years in New York City. I love the city. I love the vibe of the city. I love the fact when you start turning the corner from being, basically a tourist to actually being a resident.
Yeah, I feel like it's hard not to love New York City when you've lived there. I used to get overwhelmed visiting the place, but once, you have a home in New York City, it's totally different. But I only lived in the city for 2 years and then couldn't afford it anymore. So moved up to Poughkeepsie for a couple of years and was just like, what am I doing with my life? And that's why I came to Nashville.
Well, Poughkeepsie's a great little town. I mean, you've got the Culinary Institute of America. My brother, he attended Vassar there, so you got Vassar.
It is,
And
no, it is great, but you know, when you're trying to like actively like start a music career, it's just kind of
it's a little tough.
yeah,
Eh, that
yeah,
would be a little tough.
yeah.
So,
But New York City, uh, if I could live comfortably there and afford it, I would probably move back. But
okay. And we know you're a foodie, so you've been to Cat's Deli.
yes, yep.
Okay.
Did
How
that
about
close down?
what's that?
Did that close down? Something
No,
iconic there, I thought closed their
no,
doors.
Cat's did close down, but there was somebody that closed down, and I don't remember.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Um, it was one of the other delis closed down, but it wasn't Cat's.
Okay, okay, good, good, good.
I'd be devastated if Cat's closed down because I mean, that's I always have to go when I'm back in the city because I just got to go get a sandwich.
I
Could be
feel
expensive, but it's worth it.
yeah, the city probably wouldn't let them close down, right?
No, no, not at all. I
Yeah.
love the fact I was telling somebody the other day about, you can still send a salami to a soldier, and I think that tradition's either been going back to World War One or World War Two, where
Wow.
you could get it shipped over to a soldier, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But,
That's amazing.
yeah, I love little things like that.
Yeah.
So let's talk about some of your music. I want to start out with the song "Breathe," and you know, I've seen some interviews where you're talking about breathe and you're talking about the fact you were coming back from Atlanta
Hmm.
and you were experiencing a panic attack.
Hmm. Yes.
And you know, I was really touched by that for two reasons. A, I was really touched by the quality of the song and the flow was absolutely wonderful. All
Thank you.
right,
Thank you.
but I love artists that can show their vulnerability and also talk about things that maybe others would struggle with because I think you're doing something really you're doing a great service for others because people aren't comfortable when they may run into situations like that. So tell me a little bit more about that song, the coping mechanisms that you are finding and
Yeah.
done and
Yeah.
everything else.
Yeah, that song just kind of wrote itself because I basically documented what happened to me, you know. But that's kind of where I learned that I actually need to actively take care of myself before I start breaking down. And yeah, I mean, that's the only thing that you can do when you're having a panic attack, or even if it's just like massive amounts of stress, it's like breathing. That's the only like, coping mechanism that I could find was and that the only tell that that you're in control of something, even though it feels like you're out of control. Um, but yeah, I was just that I've never had that experience before, but I guess I just ran myself down too thin and sleep deprived, drinking too much, putting too much on my plate, and I can tell when it's coming again, and then I'm kind of like, okay, go to bed, or like take care of yourself. But yeah, it's like I've had a couple people reach out to me when I was releasing that song and be like, you are explaining the exact same thing that happened to me, like to a T, which was, for me comforting to hear. And I'm glad that I could provide comfort for them and just, recognizing, that this is a universal thing. But yeah, I was driving home and all of a sudden I felt like, it was like, my arms, I feel like they're not working, and that was the first thing to go. And then you start freaking out, and that was, and then eventually after a couple hours, I was like, I have to get back on the road. And it was like, he was like my guiding star. Like when I got back on, the semi truck was right in front of me, and I was just like following the lights, and like
Right.
breathing. And then I eventually got the courage to pass him, and then that little feat, like that little accomplishment, what made me feel better. And then I was like, oh, and then I really knew it was all mental. And so like when I accomplished getting around this truck. Like I didn't need him anymore. Then I felt better. And so I just had to keep reminding myself, like, this is all in my head. Everything's fine. But it was hard. That was hard. I've had experiences since, like, but yeah.
I think it's beautiful. You've shared that with the world, and if for anybody, I mean, please, I know we put your page up there, but go to go to the page. Vera's also has a YouTube channel. I know you don't push that real hard, but get on there, check out the music. I mean, it's really good. I recommend putting it on your playlist. I now follow it, and I plan on sharing it, and I'm going to show it to other people because I believe that you're a talent that deserves to be heard.
Thank you.
So is there a story behind? I assume there is, but is there a story behind Mud?
Yes. These last two songs I wrote are dedicated to an ex-boyfriend. Like, there's part of me that hates that I even put energy into the world for this person or because of this person, but it was my healing, just to get this anger out and like, and now I'm over it. And now it's a gift for others, to like relate to it or to, get some angst out maybe towards people who didn't treat them right or whatever, so it is what it is. But yeah, I was towards an ex-boyfriend that was not the best.
Yeah, and you didn't say a name, and we didn't have to change the name, so we could protect the names of the innocent or anything like that.
No, go for him. His name is.
Might say, wait a minute, he hurt that beautiful soul. We're going to go get even for her. So she's all good. Nobody needs to make anything even now, right?
Yeah, I don't talk to the man, so I don't know. He can. Who knows? But yeah.
So we've talked about. We talked about. You went to school as a songwriter. You talked about journaling. You talked about things like that. But I think it's really important that people know that you write your music and you write your lyrics. And I believe you said in an interview you kind of was collaborating at one point in time. And that just didn't work. So you're doing that, and I believe you only prefer to perform. Am I correct on this? Your own music.
Yeah, I am not good at covering it. And if it doesn't come from inside and go out, it's just not going to work for me. I don't know why. I love other people's music, but yeah, I'm not meant to do the cover band thing or whatever. Like, I'll try to throw a cover in every once in a while, but it doesn't last long. I'm an original music person.
And I really appreciate it because I don't like hearing people covering other people's music. I like to hear their music. I like to hear original music. That's the reason I'll go to Summerfest and I'll go to the Johnson Control stage because it's an emerging artist stage. And I really love, I'm always hoping to see the next great band there, that nobody's heard yet, so that's something fun to me. So I really respect the fact that you are, I feel like you're honoring yourself and your ability and being true to yourself. And I think that's really, really fantastic.
Thank you.
So I want to ask you something. So I think in some ways we kind of recently had some similar experiences with some of the natural disasters going on in Tennessee. So you were in the midst of the tornado, weren't you?
I was, yeah. I was, there's a venue in town called the Five Spot, and I was dancing on Mondays. They have Motown Mondays. So I was dancing that night there. And then the power just went out, and I assumed like the DJs blew a fuse or whatever, but then the staff was like, everyone get into the middle of the room right now. So we all had to, and we were all dancing, and we'd have our phones on us for like the tornado alerts or anything. We had no idea what was going on, and just havoc. Like, the tornado went like around us and just destroyed the entire like neighborhood that place is in. and it was just like a war zone. It was insane. Like they finally let us go after a while when it was safe, but it was like it was awful. But the whole
So,
community really came together immediately after that. So that was kind of, I don't know.
so tell me about that emotion when you first came out and saw the widespread
I
destruction.
mean, just kind of like in disbelief, but excuse me. Yeah, you just don't know what just a very high level of stress. Also, a
Yeah,
lot of chaos. You know, you're like, I need to go, but you're driving over wires and you're hoping they're not live. You know, and you just
exactly.
and you don't know which street is like blocked. I had to turn around many times, you know, to try to like navigate my way out of it. It's just
Yep.
total chaos. And also I think there's always the uncertainty that more tornadoes might be on the way. I think that night I think there were a couple, and like there was the big one, and then my friend who's like really active on like Twitter just like, get home, you know, like there's another one coming, maybe, whatever. And it was just total chaos and stressful. So stressful.
Yeah, I was pretty amazed when I came down shortly after and saw a lot of the destruction. And I experienced a lot of the destruction. I was in Waverly, Tennessee when the flood hit. I was actually in
Oh,
the
yeah.
middle, I was in the middle of it and barely got out myself. And it was the most surreal thing because I literally noticed the water was coming up, and I said, "Oh my goodness!" So I grabbed my laptop, and I by the time I turned around, it was to the bottom of the water was to the bottom of the truck,
Oh my,
and I opened the door, and the water was rolling in, and I went up around a tree that was coming down through. I got to high ground,
oh my
and these
God.
people were running past. I thought they were running to the truck, but they ran right past me, and I got out to see what was now at this point in time Whitewater Rapids, and they said somebody had walked out of the building and they had found him 2 days later, and the destruction I saw, and then the aftermath was just like you said, it was just surreal, and you know you almost pinched yourself like, is this really happening? Is this really going on?
Yeah,
So
it's like with natural disasters. I mean, we're so used to our structures that we've built and everything to kind of take care of us. You know, so there's this sense of like, surely it's not going to get that bad where I'm in danger, you know, or
right.
but you can't mess with nature. You really can't. It's yeah.
So there's going to be a we have a song look forward coming out of all this.
I don't know. We'll see. That's a good idea. I'm not sure, but you know, I wrote a song called Mud. I'm sure I can figure out, something to do with.
Absolutely. Well, what a great song.
Thank
So I want to ask you about I want to, about your art
you.
because I came across your art and I was like I'm like, okay, I love people who like you because I mean you produce music, so you make something beautiful for the ears and something beautiful for the eyes. And so let's tell everybody a little bit about your art. Um,
It's just kind of, I don't know. It's the thing I can do that's by my. I mean, I do a lot of music stuff by myself, but it always ends up being a very um, extroverted, social thing. And I'm what I like to call an ambivert. I'm very, extroverted and introverted. So painting gives me a chance to like create, but it's just for me. I would love to sell it, but I don't know. I'm not, I'm not there. But it's just something I can do for me, and I find that I'm a very seasonal painter. Like I don't really paint a lot in the wintertime, but when it's warm and sunny, then I get those like urges to paint. But
sure.
I don't know. It's just I've always admired, like growing up, I had friends. I mean, I still have the friends, but very talented with painting and drawing, and I always really admired that. But I just kind of decided to give it a shot, especially during the pandemic. I think that's when like lockdown really kind of helped me develop a style, I guess. And so Yeah, I don't know. It's just my introverted thing that I like to do when I'm, you know,
I think the stuff would sell. I think it's very good. And I think that, I think there's a couple of galleries and there's a number of good ones in the Nashville area that would love to have your work there. And especially if I'm running a gallery and I have an opportunity to bring in somebody that's done some beautiful things to put on the walls and beautiful pieces of art that can also sing a few songs while they're there
that'd
for an opening, I think that would just be bad to the bone.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I love that you're saying that. I need all of the pats on the shoulders that I can get with the painting, because it's a new, little thing for me. I'm not very confident.
Well, and I'll tell you, I went through a life-changing thing a number of years ago, and I got this wild hair up my butt to start making. I want to make a spoon ring.
Oh,
One thing led to another, and to another, and I did a piece this year that sold to Sturgis for $5,000.
wow.
And so I just, it was all with the charity, but I was really happy about that. And it's really numbing when, it's like your music. When people listen to the music or respond to your music, that feeling you get is like, oh my goodness. All
Yeah,
right. You
yeah,
know,
absolutely.
you're listening to it. When somebody buys that first piece of art, you're like, people actually are paying for something I made.
Yeah.
There's such a rich, incredible feeling. And I'm telling you, I think you'd have no problem pulling that off.
Well, I appreciate that. That gives me some motivation. I have like a piece. I don't know if, I mean, I'm sure you saw it's kind of a self-portrait where I'm in the leaves and demons
Yeah.
and everything. Well, I'm doing a sister painting to that, but it's even bigger. But
Right.
it's been sitting in my basement for months. Like I just can't get myself to work on it. I hit a wall, but this is giving me some encouragement. So thank you.
Well, spring is coming and it's
It
warm and flowers and then
is. Mhm.
all the birds and everything else,
Had
so
to bloom.
maybe that bring that creative juice to life the way you need it. So,
Yeah. Well, thank you.
so any, if somebody wants to see you perform live, any big plans, any tour opportunities, anything coming up that we need to know about?
As of now, I'm just doing Nashville shows, but I am working with some people to do some regional touring. So I won't be making it to the West Coast or, too far, but I will be expanding a little bit outside of Nashville. Like I want to go up to Chicago, definitely, down to Atlanta. I want to try to make it to DC. I don't know if I'll be able to go up as high as New York, but yeah, I'm trying to expand. I think it's the world is opening up enough, whatever, to get on that, So that's my next goal is to perform outside of Nashville.
Okay,
Yeah.
wonderful. So we'll want to keep everybody updated on that and everything. So Vera, um, is there anything, that we haven't talked about that maybe people, that might find this interesting and learning more about you that maybe you'd like to share with everybody that they should know about you?
Um, I mean, we covered a lot of ground, but yeah, I guess if you love rock music, I mean, I live under the rock umbrella. I don't like to call myself a punk artist because only two of my songs would classify as punk rock, but I love rock. So whatever serves the song at the time is, just the way it's going to go. I'm not putting myself into a box per se, So if you just love rock music, I hope that you'll find something that you like, from one of my songs. I hope you check it out.
Wonderful. So now we've been ending these interviews with three questions for our guests. So now you're up on the block here. So these aren't too difficult, but we're going to bring it back to. We talked about the artist, the musician, everything else, but we're going to bring it back to motorcycles. So question number one for you is if you could have and ride any motorcycle out there, what would it be?
Ooh, I have never been on like a chopper with the really long forks. I really want that experience, like even like the little, I am so bad with terminology, like the little rabbit handlebars or whatever.
Yeah.
I would like to experience that. I'm not really sure I want one, but I would like that. I would also really love to learn track racing,
Sure.
sport bike. That's kind of a bucket list thing for me. But yeah, I don't know. I've been on all kinds of bikes, all different types of sizes. I personally like the Sportster body. But yeah, I don't know. I don't have I like the one I have now, but I would love to experience the difference in like the chopper and, the sport bike and everything.
Well, I know a couple of people, and one especially in Nashville, that we could probably make that experience happen for you. So work that out. I know I actually host the chopper show at the Buffalo Chip in Sturgis. So a lot of choppers there, and a lot of the good, really, the top builders in the country, a lot of great people and stuff like that. So then it brings me to next question. So if you ride with anybody, dead or alive, who would you like to ride with?
I don't know if she rides, but I would just like to hang out with Joan Jett. So if we could just get her on a motorcycle.
Joan does.
Joan rides?
Yeah, Joan is great. I don't know how much and how avid, but yes, absolutely.
Okay. I'm really trying to put that into the universe, like hang out with Joan Jett. So that's awesome that she rides. I wonder what she rides, but I would like to ride with her.
Okay, so I don't know her, but I know a couple of people that do know her. So maybe we can get that word out there. So that would be kind of cool.
Nice.
So I'd love to be able to make that happen. So and now I think this is a great question for you. If you ride anywhere in the world, where would you like to ride?
Ooh. Oh my gosh. I would like to go. I've already ridden through a taste of it, but I want to ride my own bike. I would love to go through the like Swiss Alps, like the Alps region.
Yep.
So breathtaking, and like the switchbacks
Yeah.
insane.
They're wicked.
Oh yeah, like it's crazy. But I would like to go there.
Yeah, I've done that a few times. I lived in Vicenza, but I have family in Eindhoven, Holland, and that's where my mom is from. So you used to ride up there all the time and stuff. And well, no, I shouldn't say I rode one time. The other time, one time I drove, one time I rode, and the other times I just said to hell with it and I took the train because it was easier.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that is pretty remarkable. And I've actually got some good friends in Italy and Switzerland and stuff like that, or builders and riders and stuff like that. So another thing that maybe if you ever get it, go that direction, we'll have to make the connection for you. So
nice.
Well, Vera, you have been an absolute delight. So much fun, and I really enjoyed talking to you and learning more about you. And I'll be following you and checking you out and. Letting people know that you're out there in the world and you need to be discovered. So,
thank you, Mark.
Thank you for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun. Thanks for listening to me babble.
That's awesome. Thanks, everybody, and you guys all have a good night.
All right.